AstroSwap. Are we about to see it explode to a whole new level? Well, the soft date has been announced. We know it's January 2022, but today we are going to use WagyuSwap as the case study because we have a timeline on how Wagyu launched, exactly how it performed, and should we expect AstroSwap to do the exact same thing. Well, that's what we're going to cover in today's video. So if you like today's content, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jagir. I'm the award-winning author of The Extraordinary New Venture Capital Opportunity, How to Invest Like a Pro. Been featured in the best-selling book, High Probability Trading Strategies, back in 2008, where I used to focus only on currencies, but now exclusive on cryptocurrency. So let's dive straight in. Very exciting news. AstroSwap on their Telegram announcement with the Bluezilla ecosystem have announced Happy New Year. V1 DEX, which is version 1 of their decentralized exchange for the Cardano blockchain, is launching in January 2022. That's what we call a soft date. Why? Because they haven't given the exact date, as far as I'm aware, for the launch of their DEX. But when they do, that's when I think the hype is going to get real. And then when they get closer to that date and they announce their juicy APYs, that's when I think it's going to go to a whole new planet. But let's use WagyuSwap as a case study, right? Because it's really, really clear how they launch from A, B, and C. And we can kind of look through the timeline. So I've got this over here. Let me pull this up. So WagyuSwap, this was the price data. There were two very, very important dates. They kind of gave this announcement time, WagyuSwap is launching, but then at this point over here is when they gave a very specific date. And as soon as they gave that date, it says our DEX will be launched in 3 days, and we knew that date was coming. That caused speculation, right? This hype, and the price just started to shoot up. And then the second date was the date that WagyuSwap went live, and it caused another surge. One of the biggest reasons was the APYs, the interest that you can yield from your own cryptocurrency by staking, was just astronomical. These were some of the numbers, right? They were 100,000% APY. Now they're not sustainable because the more people that stake, then the APY goes down to 50,000%, and then very quickly goes down to 20,000%, 10,000%, 2,000%. Now it's around 300% APY, and it's around kind of fixed in that kind of zone, around 200% to around 1,000% APY. But what this allows you to do is practically double your tokens within a week, right? That's why there was this massive surge. So we want to take this into account, because where is AstroSwap in that timeline? And what we should anticipate, whether you're holding it already and you've been staking, maximizing your yield, because the APYs for AstroSwap is quite high already. If you staked before, I think it was the 31st of October, you're going to get a double, once it goes live. And as long as you stake until it goes live, you're going to get double your APY. But we need to be aware on what the journey looks like. So let's now dive into a live chart with AstroSwap, and then we're going to jump into a live chart with WagyuSwap so we can see what's likely to occur. Again, we can only do probabilities and never certainties. But right now, AstroSwap, in my opinion, is still massively undervalued, right? Massively undervalued, but I don't think that's going to last for very long. So let's dive into a live chart. Let's pull up. This is AstroSwap. So again, I'm just using DEX tools because it allows us to get the IDO, information. This is where it launched as an IDO. It did a 500x. From IDO, and then it's done a really deep correction. The market conditions, everything's correcting, right? Everything's going down, and it's just been correcting. It went down here. I was actually anticipating that this was going to be the low, but it just continued to go down, all the way down to the 78.6% retracement, all the way down here, and it potentially will be the wave 2 low, right? Massive up. People do profit taking, and that's just the nature of the markets. So what are we expecting next? Well, what typically occurs with buying and selling behavior is 1.618 to 2.618. Like, what the heck does that mean? Well, after a wave 2, what tends to happen next is a wave 3. A wave 3 surge, buying behavior, and it often lines up with news announcements. But we now know over the next 4 weeks, it's early January right now. Over the next 4 weeks, we're going to have a hard date where AstroSwap is going to go live, going to be possibly the first DEX. That's their vision, that's their mission. They're trying to be the first DEX for the Cardano blockchain, and the Cardano blockchain's got a lot of hype around it as well. So what is the typical price that we should anticipate? And you want to plan, prepare for this. These are the two particular price targets. Now, it might smash through these, it might not even reach these, but these are the typical most common price targets. So we've got 83 cents, 83 cents. So today's around 12 cents. So we're talking around an 8x to around $1.30. That's what we should be anticipating, $1.30 as the minimum kind of expectations. So it's around a 13x. That can be very, very healthy, very, very juicy. As long as well, keep in mind that you can also maximize the yield. They're going to have more than likely single staking accounts and LP yield farming accounts where you get two tokens, put them together, create a LP token, and then you can kind of yield that as well. But what I wanted to show you, really focusing, because this pattern, this buying and selling behavior is very common. You'll see it around 50 to 70% of the time. It's called Elliott Wave and Fibonacci. It's one of my favorite things. We can't have a crystal ball, but this is probably the closest thing that you can have to a crystal ball to see what's likely to occur with high probability, because we can never do certainties, only probabilities. So we're going to look at WagyuSwap. And by the way, if you want to learn Elliott Wave and Fibonacci in a bit more detail, I've actually created a free masterclass. It's in the description, in the link below. Just click it, take it. I've created it for you. I've aimed to make it as simplified as possible because it can get quite complex. So what I want to do now is jump into WagyuSwap. Right? WagyuSwap. Why? Because as we saw in the chart at the beginning, WagyuSwap was a great example. Very similar buying and selling behavior. Did its IDO, did a massive surge, and then it went through this pretty steep correction, over a period of, I think it was a few weeks. Was it from, it was around 2 months, around 8 weeks, give or take, 4 to 8 weeks. And then the market really shot up. But what we want to be aware of as well is how much it's shot up, because here, again, I'm just going to get rid of this. Here we got the movement to the upside, came down, and then what was the price surge? Well, if we look at this, look how bang on this is. It's just, I find it very fascinating how it kind of pans out a lot of the time. We measure this low to this high, and then project it forward from down here. And this was what we're looking for, right? This 2.618, right? And look at this. It went to this 2.618. And then we want to also be aware what occurred after it hit 2.618. So it went from, and we projected this in advance. You can go back and see the videos. I think it's back in September we did these videos. Around 23 cents, give or take, 22, 23 cents. And it went all the way up to, I think it actually spiked to around $3, but it closed at around $2.45, $2.50, thereabouts. So that was a nice 10x movement, even 12, 14x. But then after this surge, what do we have? Well, we had this pretty big correction, right? And we've gone through this correction, all the way back down to around 78.6% retracement. Again, and now we're in this time zone with WagyuSwap, which is looking, it's quite a steep correction, right? But typical maximum is this range here. It's a bit beyond the typical maximum, but taking this down here, it's gone back down to here. So what I believe we're going to see with AstroSwap is we are in this zone down here. Again, the date's been the soft date, we know it's going to be within 4 weeks. They've said 4 weeks, January 2022, version 1 of the DEX for the Cardano blockchain, possibly going to be the first major DEX for the Cardano blockchain. When the date gets announced and fixed, a hard date, I think that's when we're going to see the initial surge. And then we're going to see a bit of a correction. That's normal. And then when the juicy APYs are announced and we see those big numbers, it's probably going to be similar to WagyuSwap because they're all interlinked. Wagyu and Astro and swaps, they're all kind of interlinked because it's all incubated by the Bluezilla ecosystem. Then we're probably going to see a second surge over here. So this wave is very important that you become risk-free. Right? I'm a big fan of getting risk-free at 3x or 5x. 3x or 5x. So if you're buying it at today's price, what's today's price with AstroSwap? We said 12 cents. If it gets to 36 to 50 cents, 60 cents at least, 60 cents is around here, If it gets to this price point of this part here, and you're buying in today's price, or you're already holding at today's price, is get risk-free. And knowing that it's probably going to do a nice surge, and then it will probably end up doing a bit of a correction. Typical corrections come down to a certain point. We don't need to speculate too much. We're probably going to get a correction, and then we'll get another surge later on in the market. So there you have it. AstroSwap, what do you think? Right? Version 1 has been announced. January 2022, so we want to be aware of that. That did cause the price to go up right by around 50%. But what tends to happen, because you got to keep in mind as well, there's still fear, uncertainty, and doubt, more pessimism in the market right now because of the Bitcoin price is still under $50,000. But we want to kind of be very aware when the hard date is announced. There will be a day in the next, I reckon, 14 days. That's the kind of timeline that I've kind of recognized with the Bluezilla ecosystem. They normally have around a 14-day from a soft announcement to a hard announcement, where that date is, announced, whether it's, they might say it's the 21st of January, boom, you're going to see more than likely a price surge. And then closer to the time, they have a few more announcements, which will be big, juicy APYs, and that'll be a second surge. So you got to be sharp and you got to be ready for that as well. If you got your AstroSwap staked, I think there's a 7-day withdrawal period as well. Take that into account when you're kind of doing your calculations. And then maximize your amount of tokens between now and then, but also have your risk-free exit strategy in play. That's my game. That's what I like to do, because we can only do probabilities and never certainties. I always suggest plan for the worst and hope for the best. Hope for that it hits that 2.618 and maybe even overextends beyond, because look, WagyuSwap is for the Valas blockchain, right? And Valas is not as popular as the Cardano blockchain. Cardano has been building for a lot longer, and it's a higher market cap. It's in the top 10, I think it's top 5 even. Cardano as one of the major cryptocurrencies as a layer 1 solution, and it's going to be a major competitor to Ethereum and some of the other blockchains. So we need to take that all into account. So there you have it. That's just my opinion on AstroSwap. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you like today's content, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you want to learn how to do Elliott Wave and Fibonacci, those retracements, these patterns are just identifiable in advance. Again, highly probable patterns that we're looking to identify, and 50 to 70% of the time, it tends to pan out. So take the free masterclasses in the link below. I'll do it for you. Let me know what you think if you get the information, because again, with your whole portfolio, you want to be able to look at this. So let's finish with a quote. You can probably notice that I'm not in my normal settings. I'm actually stuck in Dubai at the moment because I'm quarantining. I'm isolating. Caught COVID on my birthday on 22nd, and we're literally isolating and have to wait until we get a negative test. But we've done our 10 days isolating, so I don't have my books. I normally read my book and I just kind of read one of the quotes. So today's quote, I want to go with, let's have a think, one of my favorites. Let's go with, see what pops into my head. Okay, we're going to do this one today. This is one of my favorites. One of my favorites from my mid-20s when I learned this quote, but it's really, really profound. It's from Buddha. Buddha says, "You and your world are composed of your thoughts. The wise person controls their thoughts." What most people don't recognize is, and neuroscience has shown this without any doubt. It's been proven from the days of Freud, from Carl Jung, and even before that, neuroscience, NLP, and so on and so forth, that we operate 95% unconsciously. We're these unconscious beings. That means our thoughts are on autopilot, and 95% of our daily thoughts are unconscious, and we are reacting and acting from our unconscious. So you and your world are composed of your thoughts, really composed of your unconscious thoughts. But the wise person controls those thoughts. So you need to be mindful of what you're listening to, even what you are saying and what you are thinking. Because ultimately, your life is formed by your unconscious. Whatever's in the unconscious mind tends to be almost born into existence. But what neuroscience has now shown is you can take control of this computer that you have in your mind, where you can start to form the unconscious programs that you want to occur in your life. So whether it's money, whether it's health, whether it's relationships. Now, when we're talking in the subject of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, everything that's happening here, there's going to be a lot of opportunity, but there's also going to be a lot of risk. And sometimes people unconsciously self-sabotage, and you need to be very, very mindful of that. So what I find very, very helpful in this space is to have a written plan, whether your unconscious is lined up with you or might even be lined up against you, because people do self-sabotage. It's a very, very common thing, that you have an exit strategy in play. So if your price target gets hit, your exit one, bang, whether it's a 3x or 5x or 10x or 100x, if it's an IDO, whatever your plan is, more that is hit, you have a price alert set in CoinGecko. Once you get that push notification, bam, you're selling a third or you're selling 20%, bang, money back in your pocket. And then you have your exit 2, which it might be a 20x, might be a 50x, might be a 100x. Have your plan written out. Very important that it's written out. Have it documented. Have it somewhere where it's visible. Because if you can't see it, like it's just almost beside your computer when you get your push notification, what do I do? Just follow it step by step. That can help override negative unconscious programming. But there you have it. There's the quote of today. I know I went a bit on a tangent there, but unconscious. I love the unconscious. I've been doing over 15 years of work on my unconscious and working with my team and coaching clients and everything along those lines. Is you and your world are composed of your thoughts. The wise person controls those thoughts. Easier said than done, I know. But there you have it. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see you soon. Take care.